Hello everyone. So because we didn't have time to do this in class, I'm going to talk about Tu B'Av a little bit. And I'm going to start with 6 things that happen on Tu B'Av and then talk a little bit about the holiday. So 6 events occurred on Tu B'Av, the 15th of Av, which is the middle of the month, making it a festival day in the Jewish calendar. We do not have too many things about Tu B'Av, but whatever we have, I want you to know about it. So the Mishnah tells us that no days were as festival for Israel as the 15th of Av and Yom Kippur. In the Ta'anit Tratat, in the Gemara, it's written, what is Tu B'Av, the 15th of the Hebrew month of Av, in which way it is equivalent to Yom Kippur. So our sages explain that Yom Kippur symbolizes God's forgiving Israel for the sin of the golden calf in the desert, for it was on that day that he finally accepted Moses' plea for forgiveness of the nation, and on the same day Moses came down from the mountain with a new set of tablets, and they received the present Yom Kippur from that day on. When he came down on Yom Kippur. B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to talk about Slichot very soon. So in Elul, that's why the Sephardi are reading Slichot, because Moses was on Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights. So we are reading Slichot for 40 days from Rosh Chodesh Elul up until Yom Kippur. So, just as Yom Kippur symbolized the atonement for the sin of the golden calf, Tu B'Av signifies the atonement for the sin of the spies, where 10 came bearing such negative reports which reduced the entire nation to panic. As a result of that sin, it was decreed by God that the nation would remain in the desert for 40 years, and that no person 20 or older would be allowed to enter Israel. On each Tisha B'Av, if you remember, we talked about this in class, for 40 years, those who have reached the age of 60 that year died, 15,000 each Tisha B'Av. Okay, they used to make themselves graves, and they used to sleep in the grave. And every year, all those that they were over 60, they didn't wake up, and those who were under 60 woke up. This plague finally ended on Tu B'Av. Actually, in the last Tisha B'Av, 50,000 people actually came alive from the grave. They thought that they made a mistake, and then again they went down into the grave another night and another night, up until they went to 15th of Av. So, event number 1, as noted above, the plague that has accompanied the Jews in the desert for 40 years ended. That last year, the last 15,000 people got ready to die. God in His mercy decided not to have the last group die, considering all the troubles they had gone through. Now, when the 9th of Av approached, all the members of the group got ready to die, but nothing happened. Then they decided that they may have been wrong about the date, so they waited another day and another. Finally, on the 15th of Av, when the moon appeared, they realized definitely that the 9th of Av had come and gone, because when they see the full moon, okay, it's 15, it's the middle of the month, and they were still alive. Then it was clear to them that God's decree was over, and that He had finally forgiven the people for the sin of the spies. This is what was meant by our sages when they said, no days were as festival for Israel as the 15th of Av and Yom Kippur, for there is no greater joy than having one's sins forgiven on Yom Kippur for the sin of the golden calf, and on Tu B'Av for the sin of the spies. In the book of Judges, Tu B'Av is referred to as a holiday. In addition to this noteworthy event, 5 other events occur on Tu B'Av. Event 2 and 3, following the case of daughters of Zelophehad, daughters who inherit from their father when there were no sons. Yes, like you remember the story when the daughters of Zelophehad, they came to Moshe Rabbeinu and told, we have no brothers and our father died and we want to inherit the land. But because when a woman used to marry, she used to go after her husband. That was one of the reasons that women didn't inherit anything in the first place. Then they didn't want the land to go from shevet to shevet, okay? So they forbade the women to marry in a different shevet, in a different tribe. So daughters who inherit from their father when there were no sons, were forbidden to marry someone from a different tribe, so that land would not pass from one tribe to another. Generations later, after the story of the concubine of Gibah, where the Shevet Binyamin, the tribe of Binyamin, raped and made a lot of bad things to this woman, they killed her in the end. The children of Israel swore not to allow their daughters to marry anyone from the tribe of Benjamin after almost killing all the tribe. And this posted a threat of annihilation of the tribe of Binyamin. And even though these two things, they were very, very sad for Israel and they were made according to the halacha, it was still very, very hard for Israel to do something like that. Each of these prohibitions were lifted on Tu B'Av. The people realized that if they kept to their prohibition, one of the 12 tribes might totally disappear. As to the oath that has been sworn, they pointed out that it was only affected the generation that has taken the oath and not subsequent generation. The same was applied to the prohibition of heirs marrying outside their own tribe. This rule was applied only to the generation that had conquered and divided up the land under Joshua, but not future generations. This was the first expression of the merging of all tribes and was one to cause for rejoicing. In the book of Judges, it is prepared as the festival of the Lord. Over the generations, this day was described in Ta'anit as a day devoted to betrothals, so that new families would emerge. Event number 4, after Jeroboam split off the kingdom of Israel with its 10 tribes from the kingdom of Judea, he posted guards along all the roads leading to Jerusalem to prevent his people from going up to the holy city for the festivals, for he feared that such pilgrimage might undermine his authority. As a substitute, he set up places of worship which were purely idolatrous in Dan and Bethel. Thus the division between the two kingdoms became a fairly accomplished and lasted for generations. The last king of the kingdom of Israel, Hoshea ben Elah, wished to heal the breach and remove all the guards from the roads leading to Jerusalem, thus allowing his people to make the pilgrimage again. This act took place on Tu B'Av. Event number 5, at the beginning of the Second Temple period, the land of Israel lay almost totally waste, and the wood needed to burn the sacrifices and for the eternal flame that had to burn on the altar was almost impossible to obtain. Each year, a number of brave people volunteered to bring the wood needed from afar, a trip which was dangerous in the extreme. Now, not just every wood would be brought. Wood which was wormy was not permitted, and dampness and cold are ideal conditions for the breeding of the worms in wood. As a result, all the wood that would be needed until the following summer had to be collected before the cold set in. The last day that wood was brought in for storage over the winter month was Tu B'Av, and it was a festival occasion each year when the quota needed was filled by day. And event number 6, long after the event, the Romans finally permitted the bodies of those who have been killed in the defense of Beitar in the Bar Kokhba revolt to be buried. This was a double miracle in that first, the Romans finally gave permission for the burial, and second, in spite of the long period of time that had elapsed, the body had not decomposed. The permission was granted on Tu B'Av. In gratitude for this double miracle, the fourth and last blessing of the great grace of a meal was added, which thanks God as he who is good and does good, he is good in that the bodies has not decomposed, and does good in the permission was given for the burial. To this day, we celebrate Tu B'Av as a minor festival. We do not say Tachanun on that day, nor are eulogies rendered. By the same token, if a couple are getting married on that day, and as we will see below, it is the custom for the bride and groom to fast on their wedding day, neither fast, only for Ashkenazim. Sephardim do not have this custom. And beginning with Tu B'Av, we start preparing ourselves spiritually for the month of Elul, the prologue to the coming days of old. The days become to get shorter, the nights get longer. The weather too helps us to take spiritual stock. The hectic days of the harvest are over for the farmer, and the peace has slowed down considerably. The pace has slowed down considerably. Even on the physical level, the heat of the summer makes it hard to sit down and think things out. And now that the days are nights cooler, it is easier to examine one's actions. And also that Tu B'Av comes after Tisha B'Av, the light after darkness, okay? That we know that in Judaism the day starts from the evening. It was night, it was day, one day, yeah, so it's a full day only from the night, but always after darkness come light, yeah. This is how to see. Also after Tisha B'Av we have the Nechama of 15 of Av. In earlier times it was the custom already from Tu B'Av to use as one greeting, may you inscribe and seal be for good, the same blessing that we today use on Rosh Hashanah. And those who work out the gematria values of different expression found that phrase added up to 90, 28, and so does the words of 15 of Av. Now another thing that usually on the 15 of Av they used to do, the daughters in the time of the before the second temple, when Tu B'Av was actually Yom Tov, the daughters of Israel used to go out on the fields dressed in white garments, very, very simple, so they will not look rich or poor. And they used to say, they used to choose, like the men used to come and choose the kala, okay, bride for themselves, not looking by their beauty or by their how rich they are, and by how the girls looked inside. And that was also a very interesting thing, that whoever came from a good family and had good manners, and it was a Eshet Chayil, you could see that even if they wore the white garments. That's it. This is Tu B'Av, and Bezrat Hashem, I wish you Tu B'Av Sameach.